If I'm leading my life in the greatest way I can, and I am sharing my life in great ways with other people and helping change lives in great ways and really manifesting and pre-paving all of the things that I really want to happen in my life, and I pull up to an intersection and I'm broadsided by a drunk driver and I'm completely disabled or killed, is there such a thing in this universe as wrong place, wrong time?
No. In other words, if you were, as you are describing yourself to be, turned in, tapped in, turned on, unless it is your desire to reemerge into non-physical and you're wanting a quick and very fast way, in other words, if you're assuming that the accident and the subsequent croaking is really not a vibrational match to what you want, then it could not be unless you were out of vibrational alignment with who you are. It's a tricky question to answer, because if we say, no, that couldn't happen to anyone who was tuned in, tapped in, turned on, that makes it sound like we think that the death experience is a wrong experience. And sometimes you reemerge into non-physical because you are ready to reemerge into non-physical. So we don't want to call the what you call the death experience miscreating or negative creating, but we would call long-standing negative emotion miscreating. In other words, can you feel what we're getting at? It's possible to be ready to reemerge into non-physical. There are people who set it as a goal all the time. And so then if they got creamed by a truck, you'd say, good job.
On a larger scale then, let's take the World Trade Center. There we have thousands of people at work going about their business and all of these wonderful things going on in their lives, and they're having children and they're going on vacations and they're pre-planning and pre-paving and great things are happening.
Well, now don't superimpose how you feel over them. And in other words, you have to understand that nothing ever happens to anyone that it is not a vibrational match. But there are all kinds of incidences where people are sideways of their own vibration. In other words, most people, it's normal to feel aggravated. It's normal to feel rushed. And so if you're used to going to work every day, not wanting to go, not feeling good about going, or feeling frustrated about something, or uptight about traffic, in other words, if you have acclimated to negative emotions so that it's just the norm for you, even though being on your way to an experience that is really not in harmony with what you want would give you a rise in negative emotion, if you've adjusted to negative emotion, you would not notice it, you see. And so there are a number of things we want to say about that. We already said that we don't think that death is a bad thing. It's just a continuation of life. And so it's not the big deal that everybody's making it out to be, that someone would die in a situation like that. But we want you to understand that, and someday someone will write a book about it, all of the people who didn't go to work that day, who followed their bliss and found someplace else to be, who had an impulse that took them somewhere else, or an incident that happened. In other words, that's what we mean. When you're going with the flow, then the flow of life will take you on the path of least resistance to that which matches what you are intending for your life experience. Most people are not living life deliberately. Most people are living life by default, which means they're offering vibration all over the place about a number of things. Best story that we can give you, and you may have heard it if you've been listening to us, because it's one of our favorites that speaks right to this. It's a story that Jerry tells about being an actor on television, and he was in a series where they were riding horses, and he went to get his horse that day, and the wrangler assigned him a horse that was really in an irritable state. Jerry could just feel the orneriness of this horse. And so Jerry said to the wrangler, I don't want this horse. This horse is too skittish, and I'm delivering lines. It will just be a problem all day long. I want a calmer horse. And the wrangler accused Jerry. He said, you're afraid of this horse. And Jerry said, I'm not afraid of it. He was. But he said, I'm not afraid of it. I just don't want to cost the company money. And so the wrangler said, well, I'm not afraid of this horse. And he jumped up on the horse, and the horse reared its head back and knocked his front teeth out. And we said that wrangler had overcome his fear. meaning he had disregarded his fear, meaning he had talked himself out of any awareness of that. In other words, he was going to do what he was going to do and disregard any inclination because he had desensitized himself to the inclination that would let him know that this was not the path that would lead him to the most that he wanted. And so what you begin to notice as you get more sensitive to the way you feel is that many people around you are not sensitive at all to the way they feel. If they were, they wouldn't go to the movies they go to. They wouldn't read the books they read. They wouldn't watch the television news programs that they do. They wouldn't subject themselves to so much ongoing data that they don't feel good about when they subject themselves to it, because their inner being is not looking at it in that way. But then they grow accustomed to that feeling of vibrational discord. And the more accustomed to the feeling of vibrational discord you become, the less active and essential and telling your guidance system is. And then when something happens, you say, oh, somebody should have told me, or oh, something has gone wrong, or oh, the law of attraction is not consistent. And we say, it is absolutely consistent. What you're thinking and feeling and what manifests always matches every single time, no exceptions. But it's not an easy thing to stand in your vibrational relationship feeling the way you feel and witness things happening to others that you haven't been listening to, others that you haven't got a whiff of what their vibrational countenance was, others who you don't know who they've become and who they're being in relationship to. So when you're trying to draw conclusions about what happens to other people and you don't have access, and you don't, to the vibrational relationship between who they're being and who they have become, then you can't possibly understand what's happening to them. But you sure can understand what's happening to you. When you start making the correlation about how you've been feeling and what's happening, you get that pre-manifestational awareness, which is so much better than post-manifestational awareness.
Thank you.
The other day, Jerry and Esther were at an event that was so out of their control. And when things are out of their control, we want them to relax and let go of the idea of needing control and to trust that the universe is working things out. But they were at a convention where the sound engineers, this is their fourth convention after convention, the sound is never ready in the room, even as Esther is walking on the stage. In other words, they just can't seem to get it ready before it is absolutely essential. And so there's this uneasy thing about it, and that's that out of control feeling that we're talking about. And so during that time where Esther is feeling out of control, she began doing things like misplacing the valet parking ticket, which she had never done, misplacing her book signing pen, which she does not do, leaving her sweater in the restaurant, which she has never done before, and finally leaving her credit card at the counter when she left the hotel. And she said, boy, they're really out of control, aren't they? And what we're getting at, she allowed herself to witness what she determined to be an out-of-control environment, which it wasn't really out of control. It was just different than she's accustomed to. And everything worked out magnificently, but there was enough off-putting about it for her. Enough things were just different from what she usually has and what she usually wants, that she activated a vibration within her that caused an immediate manifestation that reflected the vibration that she had activated. Now, her life still went well. She still had a wonderful time. She still met with people that she adores. Everything. In other words, it wasn't so out of sync that she got hit by a bus. It wasn't so, but it was out of sync enough that it manifested in through the crack of least resistance that it could. And the thing that we wanted Esther to feel so powerfully, and the thing that we like so much about the manifestations that occurred to Esther, the out-of-control manifestations, is that in every case, they were things that she thought she should be able to control, but couldn't because of her vibration. You see what we're getting at?
Yeah.
In other words, if you can't control what you do with your own pen, your own credit card, your own valet parking ticket, and your own sweater, if you can't control these very easy to control things, there's something screwy in your vibration. And what's screwy in your vibration is the belief that you want to control or that you need to control and that you can't control, so that you're out of control. And when you're out of control, when you believe that you're out of control, everything goes screwy. But you were never in control of circumstances anyway. You were only in alignment or not in alignment. The universe and law of attraction are in control, you see. Nice to know, isn't it?
Wonderful.
Something more?
Thank you for changing lives in great ways.